Hello, lovely people. This is about what the benefit of Flik Floc is. Because recently I completed the second interview of this podcast with a fellow physicist from back in the day and very dear friend. And the more I do this, the more I realize not only the size of the gift this can be to the world, but also what kind of specific gift it is, why it matters. And that's why I want to share it with you, because I want to thank you and honor you for your time and attention, whether it is through listening to the podcast, leaving your reactions, your comments, even sending me your messages. Yes, I read them. And also for our amazing guests who come here and share their stories and their journeys. I want you to know why it matters. So here is what I found out. Flik Floc is a cure for monoculture. Now, what I mean by that, right? How this helps us. So, if we look a bit around us in the world, we will soon realize that we live in a society, in a culture that rewards over specialization and putting our minds in narrow lanes of thinking. Okay, and this happens in many different ways. And the thing is, right, it doesn't happen consciously. A lot of the times it happens unconsciously under the radar through what is being rewarded and what is being valued. It's kind of like there is a cultural reward system that aligns us towards this direction, which doesn't serve us. And I will tell you about it. And together with that, I will tell you through my own journey a bit what it took to come out of it. Now, there are many examples of that, right? Like one thing is the over specialization at our jobs, which is we have to be over specific to get a promotion to even find a job, right? Another element of that is when we, like for those who are in the service business, when we do niching and sub-niching and sub-sub-sub-niching, right? And this endless sub-niching of sub-niching. It's another example of that. But also social media, okay? Social media with their highly curated algorithms offering us content that doesn't necessarily agrees with us, but it's the content that engages us in a specific way. And now with AI, artificial intelligence, I don't know if you've heard the term about AI sycophancy, how AI just reflects us and gives us back the things that will mostly agree with us because it's made that way. And it gets rewarded this way. So it responds to the reward system as well. Funny thing. So our mind gets in these narrow lanes and we see only what's being rewarded and we're being guided towards the reward, right? And this is built on a deeper cultural thing. We live in a culture, in a world where we tend to see people as functions, as gears to a machine. When someone looks for a job, that's what an employer looks, right? I have a business, I have a machine. Who will be a good gear at this spot that will do the job efficiently? And from a certain perspective, that is a valid thing, right? Having this over specialization allows us to increase our efficiency for things to work more smoothly, more flawlessly, to increase our productivity, to resolve hiccups along the process faster as they appear, and perhaps not even have them at all, right? That's the ideal. So there is a value to that, to being specific, contributing something specific, and contributing to the world. There is a value to that, but there are also some pitfalls. And we often tend to ignore that when we see people as functions. We value them only as gears to the machine. And we often find ourselves in this position, that we are a gear in someone's machine, whether we realize it or not. Now, the way this limits us is most evidently seen from an example in agriculture, from all places, right? From farming. Because what happens when we go in these narrow lanes with our minds, we only think under a specific set of ideas. Our creativity, even our problem-solving abilities, work through a specific set of constraints of river banks. It's like we are in a river, but the banks are very specific and very narrow, and the river is just straight. It doesn't go all these creative left and right and all these amazing things. So in agriculture, there is an equivalent thing that very clearly highlights the problem. We often have monocultures. Now, what is a monoculture? A monoculture, briefly put it into context, right? Perhaps you already know. A monoculture is when we decide to plant in a field of land not only just one species of a tree, like not only orange trees, but also a specific variety of that particular species of an orange tree. So we have only a specific variety of oranges. And perhaps it even gets more specialized like that. Now, this is great because it's predictable. We know what how it will produce. We know how to optimize our crops and to maximize our productivity, right? We know exactly, more or less, when the fruits will be ready, when to pick them up, how to organize our production. This is amazing until it breaks. And I think there is a story about tomatoes in California, right? That there was some massive destruction from a foreign pest. So here is the problem that monoculture does. And if you wonder what's the equivalent with our minds and our ideas, when we go in these narrow lanes of thinking, this is like a monoculture of ideas in our minds, because our ideas, our thoughts, our fundamental ideas are the genetic material of our own minds. So it's like we are in a monoculture in our own minds. So what happens in farming, right? First of all, if you have only one type of tree, only one species, and only one variety, even more so, it depletes the ground, right? It sucks up only the same nutrients, and then the ground gets depleted. And then what one needs to do? One needs to put more fertilizers, which has a bigger environmental impact. And also, one basically, needs to counteract the fact that this has only one resource of food in this land that's planted. So then we need to be fed a specific type of content, a specific type of ideas, right, to feel the same engagement. It's a bit like social media. And then there is another thing that happens that's even more scary. When we have over-optimized our production, whether it is agriculture, ideas, or something else, first of all, nature knows about it too, right? When there is no variability, there is no diversity, then we are very vulnerable to a random external factor, like a pest comes, that our crop is not resistant towards. And then the whole crop, right? Huge pieces of land and possible fruit gets destroyed by a single pest, because the system didn't have the resilience to withstand it. And that's why diversity and inclusivity matters. It's not just an altruistic and good vibes thing. It's also a survival thing. It matters. So this is the danger, right? How do we respond to an external challenge, a threat, but it can be just a challenge, as a matter of fact, when we are over-optimized in one direction and we have removed from ourselves, even lost temporarily, the ability to see differently, to cross-pollinate ideas, right? Then we go for a big catastrophe in our crops and in our thinking. And that's what's at stake here. So the solution is diversification, cross-pollination of genetic material of in our crops, right? Have different varieties of the same fruit, have even different plants, not only oranges, so the soil doesn't get depleted. And in our minds, in our thinking, It's the cross-pollination of ideas. It's about seeking people who have different journeys. It's about learning from them. It's about us being open, willing to take different journeys ourselves, take even vastly different journeys, or go to the edge of our current journey, like find the point, be courageous to go to the point where things stop working anymore, and be courageous enough to go there out of pure curiosity before necessarily something bad happens, right? And that takes something because it's not what's being rewarded, right? And having a monoculture in our minds, we have to really, consider who does it serve? Does it serve us? Does it serve us? Perhaps in the long term, there is efficiency, but in the short term, perhaps it serves us. There is efficiency, increased productivity, but in the long term, it does not. In the long term, it removes from ourselves our ability to get inspiration, to uh, see beyond the limits of our current perception. And that's a vital skill we need in life. It's the skill that allowed our ancestors to inhabit the whole planet without any modern technology, to travel vast distances. It's the skill, it's the mind skill that allows us to dream beyond the obvious. Effectively, it's about dreaming, because dreaming is not just what happens when we sleep, it's the cross pollination of imagination and reality in a way that creates visions that brings new realities. And this matters. This matters a lot. I believe all great visionaries, all people who discovered something new, brought something in the world that really benefited the world, had this and were operating from this. So I think it's essential, not only for survival, but also for, putting something important out there. Whether that gets widely known or not, but putting something out there that has some impact, has some weight. And this is not being rewarded by our culture. Unless we take a stand, we take ourselves, we find the motivation, the impulse, right, to drive ourselves forward in new directions. And so, what's the best way to do that, right? What's the best way to do that before we before we have to, before we are forced to by reality, before our crop gets destroyed? Well, the best way to do that is to first get informed by the journeys of others, is to first learn from other people who have done a similar thing. And these big cross pollinations and journeys and things that go beyond the obvious. Oh, what this is about, how does it help me? Does it make my bread crispier in the morning? And is it going to sell? Everything that's beyond that. This is what I want to bring here with this, by having conversations across oceans of meaning. So we have a cure for monoculture. And this is something I experienced myself, right? And it's a specific example that will better highlight the benefit, how I experienced it myself. Now, I don't know how much you've heard about the stuff I'm talking about. Part of my journey is that I used to be in academia doing theoretical physics, black holes and string theory, and all that crazy stuff. And later, I switched to hypnosis and hypnotherapy, and later I did theater and other stuff. It's like a bunch of things. But the point is this: like the surface of the thing is that I switched from academia to hypnotherapy and all this psychotherapeutic and healing modalities because I was struck with chronic pain. Okay, and while this is true, this is not the essence of it. This was like the motivation, but the essence was that underneath, I was feeling a need for several years before I get chronic pain. I was feeling a need to expand my inquiry. I was feeling a need to see the world with different eyes, and I was ignoring it because that's not what was being rewarded. Until I reached the point I couldn't ignore it anymore, right? And this, in my case, manifested the way it manifested. For your case, may be different. So, and I could have gone, right? When I finished academia, I could have gone to something more similar to my previous career. I could have gone to machine learning. I could have gone to finance. These were the obvious career transitions. But I felt I wanted something different, a set of eyes I was completely missing. I felt I wanted to, it wasn't about hypnosis. I wanted to become more aware, get to know better the human experience, because I felt this was something I was really ignoring and science hasn't informed me about. So I wanted to expand my inquiry in this direction. And I did. And it was a long journey, right? And that's the thing. Like, I do believe there was some cost to it, but there was also some benefit, and I want to tell you about it because in the short term, financially, I would have done much, much better. I would have been much more efficient in terms of money and work and, let's say, professional development if I had taken the technology part, right, or the finance part, the machine learning part, because it was more similar. It was what the market was asking, and I ignored all that, which, from a certain point of view, it's a stupid decision, and from another, it isn't. So I paid the price, right? It took me a long time to learn something from the beginning. It took me a long time to start, generating an income from what I'm doing and finding, new ground. It took me a long time. But through that, I gained an understanding that I wouldn't be able to gain otherwise, because now, like recently, I found myself doing physics again through a specific project that, landed on me. I was not really chasing it. Found myself doing physics after several years. It's fun trying to bring the mind back in the previous thinking, right? It was a challenge, so I loved it. And I realized that I do physics now with a different set of eyes, with different mind skills I didn't have it before, and I couldn't have gained through physics. I couldn't have gained through science. Good science, good research required the skills, and some people would develop them implicitly, but I needed more an explicit road in learning them. So I did a big, circle in my professional development in learning the skills. And that's something here, because I believe there are many people who are in sciences, in research, or in many other fields, whatever field you are doing, right, that may feel they are not smart enough in what they are doing because they are not making it like other people. And what you may really be missing is just a different set of mind skills that your field, through its teaching tradition, doesn't know how to pass to you in the way you need to get them. So now I'm doing physics much, much better, even though, I haven't touched it for many years. I mean, I'm still a bit rusty. There is a level of intuitive fluency, right, which comes from being in the subject. And this I'm warming up again. But yeah, even without that, I'm doing it much, much better. It's amazing how learning a different topic, a completely different area, can sharpen your mind, and how this is not what people expect from you. It's not what people ask from you, and it's not even what's being rewarded and valued in our culture. Because if you think about it, and actually this will make it even more concrete, this is how learning works. This is so how many different things in the world work, right? If we go to exercise, to gymnastics, right? There is interval training. You have to start and stop. If we go to picking up a new habit, to conditioning, there is intermittent conditioning where someone starts and stops something. So, and also, I'm trying to think of another area where this applies, but it's so many other areas. Like how often it happened to you that you are trying too hard on something, and you just can't push through, can't break through, right? And then you leave it. You leave it to the degree you feel like you don't care about it, and you don't even you feel you even forgot it, right? And you approach the same thing after like 1 year, and you're surprised by yourself how much uh, fluent you are with it in ways you weren't before. So even learning works this way, right? Because learning is like conditioning to an extent. Learning needs intermittency for thoughts to mature in our minds, but also to get like cross-pollinated by other ideas, to get richer, to develop branches in sideways directions. So learning works this way. And if we take this, right, this like this interval training or this intermittent conditioning, which can happen in the length, perhaps, um, of weeks or months, and we start extending it in time, and we're extending it not only in time, but also in scope, in topic, in area, in theme, right? And we take it to cosmic proportions. Then we reach through these big journeys, right? Like, I don't know, from police officer becoming a shamanic healer, from, in my case, from physicist, going to hypnotherapy and then studying theater. For someone else, going from sciences into art, becoming a painter. We have these big, amazing journeys that defeat common sense, but they cross pollinate us in such a way exactly because they defeat common sense and they go out of our prediction mechanisms. And that's why there is no immediate reward there. That's the cost. One has to, wait for and be persistent enough for the roots to grow through their whole underground path till new branches, right? Sprout leaves again and flourish again. It's a longer journey, but it's so beneficial. And that's what Flik Floc is about. That's a message that is so much missing from our world, I feel. It's a perspective that's so much missing from our world with this over specialization that makes us ignorant to our own experience, that makes us lessens our ability to dream and envision, which is something, by the way, great entrepreneurs do. They envision. It's not just about making a product that's useful to others. It's about envisioning. It's like art and not craft, right? Per se. Uh, and reactivating this in us, I believe it's one of the best gifts we can offer, not only to ourselves, but as we absorb it as an attitude, as we absorb it as a point of view, as a mentality, start passing it to others through our everyday actions, through our everyday choices, our everyday conversations, the things that matter to us every day, and also our everyday things as they change along with us. That's what Flik Floc is all about. And if you've listened up to this point, I would love you to let me know. Uh, Leave a comment, press a reaction. I would love to know this matter to you. And you are still here with me. And if you want to communicate further, share your thoughts, be part of the conversation, leave a comment, send me a message. I'd love to take this further with you because it matters. Thank you.